Well, it wouldn't be a NASCAR playoff race if it wasn't for some controversy in numerous ways. Um, my goodness. A lot happened at Martinsville, as was expected. Um, Maybe the one bright spot that can be taken away from the race is that Martinsville was a cutoff race, and it worked as the cutoff race into the Final Four. That was a great schedule move, and worked out really for NASCAR and everyone involved. It created some exciting moments, and just was overall a good race. I would say the best Martinsville race since the 2017 races there, which were pretty good. Um, you know, while the 2018 race had that really good finish, I think the racing in this one was just overall better all throughout the race. The finish was obviously a lot worse. Chase just kind of drove away in this one. The finish in 2018 was eons better, and maybe that, you know, I've always said finishes do bump ratings up for races in terms of like, of how I would rate a race. If the finish is good, I would rate it a little bit higher. If something exciting happens on lap 63, I don't take that into account. I take the finish more into account. So while I won't say, oh, a race had a great finish, that's automatically 10 out of 10, I'd be like, okay, I thought that race was like a 7, and it had a good finish, maybe like a 7.5 or an 8 because of that. It might bump it up a few points. Or in the case of how I grade them out of 100, on the whole thing, with my launching back through old NASCAR races, it would be, a 5 point bump, something like that, 5, 6, 7 point bump because it had a good finish. It wouldn't, bump it up massively, but it still helps with it. The finish helps. It's a decent part of the race to take into account. But overall, the racing in this one here, today or tomorrow, whenever this, or yesterday, whenever this goes out, the racing was good. It had I think it was 20 lead changes right on the dot. I think that's the highest since the 2015 fall race, to take that into account. So there were a lot of lead changes, a lot of different, tire strategies and stuff like that. Definitely a lot better than what we saw here last season with the 3 foot tall spoilers on the back. Luckily, NASCAR went back to a short track package that actually works, and we saw it work here today. It was just an overall good race. There's not much more to say other than that. There was some beating and banging, there were some tempers, and then obviously had the playoff drama that we'll obviously be talking about. That will be the big, moment of this video is the playoffs and how that all went. So to put this into perspective, Kurt Busch and Alex Bowman pretty much, they weren't really non-factors, but they weren't big enough factors. Kurt did lead early on under some different strategy. Bowman was running top 10 most of the night, at some points inside the top 5, but he never got to lead the race. The drivers it really came down to was obviously Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski, Chase Elliott, and Martin Truex Jr. Early on, it looked like Truex had the car to beat. He pulled away with the race lead after Denny held up most of the drivers back behind. Some yellows came out, and after a while, Chase Elliott passes Truex there, and then Chase looks like he has the car to beat. At some points, he gets dropped back as the track starts to change. Then it's the Penske guys at the front, Logano or Blaney up at the front. Then Truex gets back out front. It looks like he's going to win because Chase is now farther back. And then Chase gets back up to Truex and passes him. And then Truex has a loose wheel. And then that knocks Truex out of contention. He needed to win to advance through in the playoffs. He's not going to be in the Final Four. So then it comes down to Brad Keselowski, Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, and Chase Elliott. Chase in the race lead needs to win to advance through because Kevin's now gotten enough points. Let's go to Denny's day first. Denny, at the beginning, I think it was some sort of issue on the shock. Whatever it was, I forget already. But he had some issues, and they said, "Can we fix this NASCAR?" And NASCAR said, "If you do, you have to drop to the back." So they just said, "All right, we're not going to do it." And they fixed it under the first stop. Didn't really hurt them that much. They kept their track position decently well. Got some really good stage points, which means everything for how his playoffs have ended up. But he rode inside the top 10, sometimes top 5 for much of the day. Had a pretty decent car. Looking at here, Denny Hamlin, he led 42 laps during the race, so while the car was never really the best on the racetrack, it was still a good car and a car that was capable of running inside the top 10, top 5 at points during the race. We go to Brad Keselowski, likewise to Denny Hamlin. He also had a good car. He only led 3 laps during the race, though, so it was never a dominant car. Never really was the best car. Never really got that track position, but stayed top 5 for much of the day. The only time he faltered was a late race pit stop, where he was too fast exiting pit road. So that put him to the back of the line, right behind Kevin Harvick, who got the lucky dog. So then they started to battle up through the field, and Brad actually got up inside the top 15 or even top 12 before yellow flag came out, which had gone back then to where he could then fight back up and actually got up into the top 10, finished in the 4th position. So it was a really, really good run for Brad Keselowski after what could have been a disastrous night after that pit road penalty. And then you have Kevin Harvick. I don't think anyone expected Harvick to be a contender for the win. When was the last time Kevin contended for a win at Martinsville? You might have to go back to the one he won back in 2011. He's just not been good here at all for some reason, especially under the SHR banner. He has never really run great at Martinsville. Sometimes he'll get top 10s. If he's lucky, he'll get a top 5, but he's never a car that will get up there and lead a ton of laps and stuff like that. And it showed here. Early on, he struggled, barely hanging on to top 10 spots and fell outside the top 10. I don't think Kevin got any stage points. If he did, he maybe got a point. I don't think he got stage points. I don't think Kevin Harvick got a single stage point in this race. Looking at the results, no, he didn't get stage points. So Kevin did not get a single stage point in this race, and I'm sure he would love to get at least one after how it ended up. So Kevin Harvick had a bad car, was back in the pack. He and Matt Kenseth made contact. Kenseth basically put Harvick in the wall of turn 4. That caused Harvick's left rear to go down. Harvick then went 2 laps down. A yellow flag came out just a little bit after that. However, unfortunately for Harvick, he did not get the lucky dog because the car who caused the yellow, I believe it was Brennan Poole, just got put a lap down, so he was in the free pass position, so the free pass got nulled out. Harvick was 2 laps down, got back to 1 lap down at some point, but stayed most of the race 1 lap down. Could not get it. Every time, Timmy Hill would just get lapped, or some other people would just get lapped. He'd be the 2nd or 3rd car 1 lap down. He would not be able to get the free pass position. Finally, he did really late in the race. That's the same one when Brad had his pit penalty. He got back in the lead lap, drove up inside the top 20, then inside the top 15, and had a shot at the top 10. At the end, his car was really coming alive. As the sun went down, his car got better, and it ended up being a top 10 car in terms of lap times. Unfortunately for him, he ended up in 17th. And then for Chase Elliott, obviously, I think he had the best car of the night. He and Truex definitely the best ones. Chase led 236 of 500 laps en route to victory. So that 9 team is heading to Phoenix with a shot at the championship. For the first time ever, Chase Elliott is in the Final Four. For the first time ever, he has escaped out of the round of 8. Something that has plagued him the past few seasons is this round of 8. And he finally gets through to battle for a championship at Phoenix, which is a track that he is really good at. You think back to times in his rookie year, he ran well there. You think back to 2017, where he almost had it won to get into the Final Four. Think back to 2018, he had a really good car there in the playoffs again. Earlier this year, led a lot of laps, so don't count out Chase Elliott. Even though that team really makes a lot of mistakes, if they can put together a mistake-free race, they do have a shot at this championship. Going in and getting Chevrolet and Hendrick Motorsports their first championship since 2016. So watch out for that. You never. I think all 4 of these drivers are really going to be good. Phoenix is really good for all of them. I think about Denny Hamlin won there last season. Brad Keselowski ran really, really well earlier this season at Phoenix, and also has run really well when it comes to this package. Joey Logano, same story with Brad there. Ran well at Phoenix earlier this season, actually won that race, and has run well under this package. Obviously, as we mentioned with Chase, how he's done at Phoenix in his career. So I think all 4 of them are really going to be in a dogfight at Phoenix, and who knows, might come down to a late race restart, as the finales always like to do. So, in terms of how the race played out, who got eliminated and who's in. So, we know Joey Logano was in after his Kansas win, Chase Elliott in with this Martinsville win. That leaves 2 spots up for grabs on points, and they go to Brad Keselowski with his 4th and Denny Hamlin with his 11th. And Kevin Harvick missed out on the Final Four. A man who, let's just pull up his stats. 9 wins, 2 more than anyone. And then you look down, the next highest is 5 below that. 20 top 5s, 3 more than anyone. 26 top 10s, 3 more than anyone. Over 1,500 laps led, it's a little less than 500 more than anyone. A 7.3 average finish. That's the best since Jeff Gordon in 2007. He's finished every single race this season. He's finished on the lead lap 32 of 35 races. He's only not completed 3 laps. He's completed all but 3 laps this season. And he has 0 chance to win the championship. Not 25% chance. He has 0% chance of winning this championship. Kevin Harvick cannot win the championship in 2020. A 9-win season, a 20 top 5 season, a 26 top 10 season, a 0 DNF season, a 7.3 average finish season. He doesn't get a championship. He has no shot at it whatsoever. It is impossible for Kevin Harvick to win this championship in 2020 thanks to the playoff format. And, I mean, it's atrocious. It is atrocious. You think about a season like that, that is almost a once-in-a-lifetime season. It has been 13 years since we saw a season like this. Jeff Gordon in 2007. And Jeff Gordon didn't win the championship that season either, albeit under the 10-race chase format, where Jimmy Johnson outperformed him in the final 10 races. Kevin Harvick, I'll admit it, has not been great at all this chase. He was really only good that first round. You think about the round of 12, Talladega and the Roval, along with Las Vegas. Vegas, his car was bad all night long. I think he barely got a top 10 in that race. And then Talladega and Roval, complete wild cards. And then you think back to this round. Obviously, the issues at Kansas with the dirty air, where he probably could have won that race. You think to Texas, where his car looked like it was good early on, and then it started misting, and NASCAR didn't throw yellow, and Kevin got tight and got up into the PJ1, and PJ1 and water equals slippery, and Kevin slipped into the wall and never could recover off that because he had so much damage. And then here in Martinsville, a bad car, issues with non-chaser Matt Kenseth, and he couldn't recover from a lap down until late in the going, and he didn't have enough time to get back up inside the top 10. Kevin Harvick gets eliminated. That's how it is. That's how this format is. Is the format going to change? I doubt it. I doubt NASCAR would change this format away. It doesn't matter how many people just talk about how bad the format is. They're not going to change it. They are not going to change the format at all. They are in love with this format. I hope this is a take that just ages poorly, but they love their format. They love their Game 7 moments. They love the excitement that comes out of it. They love the unpredictability. They're going to say that this is a good thing that Kevin Harvick is not in the Final Four because it shows how unpredictable the playoffs are, when in reality, you have the best driver of the season, and he doesn't have a chance at the championship, let alone, it's different than saying, all right, Kevin's going to Homestead, he might not win the championship. That would be terrible. It is saying, or not Homestead, Phoenix. Kevin Harvick, it's different than saying Kevin Harvick's going to Phoenix and he might not win the championship. Instead, we're saying Kevin Harvick is going to Phoenix and he's not going to win the championship. We know that 100% certain Kevin Harvick is not going to be the 2020 NASCAR Cup Series champion because of a terrible playoff format. And people keep saying and comparing it to the 2007 New England Patriots in the NFL. The team that went 16-0, won through their playoffs, ended up in the Super Bowl against the Giants, where the Giants beat them. And people are like, well, it's just like that. You have to perform when it counts. I agree with that. You have to perform when it counts. However, the 16-0 Patriots made it to the championship deciding game. They didn't get eliminated before that happened. They made it there. They had a shot at the championship. And in the NFL, the 5-11 Ravens did not go into that final game and cause a fumble on a Patriots player. That didn't happen. You know what happens in NASCAR? A Matt Kenseth, that's not a chaser, puts a chaser into the wall, knocking that chaser out of contention. That's what happens in NASCAR. You know what doesn't happen in the NFL? A team that didn't make the playoffs cannot interfere with the team that made the playoffs. It just doesn't happen. The 5-11 2007 Ravens did not do anything to the Patriots in the Super Bowl to keep them from winning it. They didn't do anything in the playoffs to keep them from winning those games. The Patriots won those games and then faced the Giants, a team that they didn't face that season, I don't believe, and they lost to them. That's just how it works. In NASCAR, you're against your 39 competitors every single race. It doesn't matter if you are in the chase. It doesn't matter if you're not in the chase. You're still out there on the racetrack. You still have everything that can go your way. You're going to different tracks. You're going to places with different tires. Goodyear has to bring tires. Tires could fail, and that's just bad luck. You know, so to have a system like this, where it is a 3-race season practically, and then a 1-race season at the end, it just doesn't work. It never will work in terms of fairness. Will it work in terms of excitement and unpredictability and intensity? It works like that all the time. It's never going to work in terms of consistency. Since 2014, when this format was first introduced, that's what, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020. That's 7 seasons now that this format has been in place. Only 2 of those seasons has the driver who deserved to win the championship win the championship. 2017 and 2019. Martin Truex Jr. and Kyle Busch are the only 2 winners under this format who had the most points throughout the season. And Martin Truex Jr. would have won it under any format. Kyle Busch did really well in the regular season, fell off during the playoffs, but won the championship because he had enough playoff points to get his way through to Homestead. Kevin Harvick did not have that luxury, be it because other people just did better during the playoffs and got some more playoff points during that, and it just didn't work for him here. He didn't get any stage points at Martinsville, which hurts him. Think about to the last lap. He is running right behind Kyle Busch. Denny Hamlin and Brad Keselowski are 1 point above the cut line. If Kevin Harvick passes Kyle Busch, he's in. He's in. He wins the tiebreaker over the both of them. Denny Hamlin would be the one out if Kyle Busch gets passed by Kevin Harvick. So entering turns 3 and 4, Kyle runs wide because he knows Kevin is probably going to go into that corner with the intent to bump. But if you're on the outside, you're probably not getting bumped up the racetrack. So Kevin drives in under him, and coming off turn 4 in a move of desperation, he turns right into Kyle Busch's quarter panel, spinning the 18 around. It spins the 4 around as well, but that's what Kevin had to do under this format. It is the same thing he did at Talladega, except it was only one car he decided to crash this time. 2015 at Talladega, he was not going to make it. His engine was failing. He was going to be eliminated from the playoffs. So what happens? He turns right into Trevor Bayne, causes a 10-car pileup, brings out the yellow flag, and ends the race short. It was race manipulation at its finest. He didn't do any interviews after the race, and he moved on. NASCAR did nothing with it. Off turn 4 here, his only chance to get in is if he wrecks Kyle Busch, so he's trying to do that, and he spins himself in the process. If he wrecks Kyle Busch to advance, would I be like, oh, Kevin was great at that move? No, I would be talking about how stupid it is that Kevin was put in that position in the first place to have to do that. It's stupid that he has to fight for every point when he's out there 110 points up on Denny Hamlin in full season points. Yes, you heard that right. He is 110 points up on Denny Hamlin. There would be no shot for anyone to win the championship under the other format. Kevin has been so dominant this season, no one else would have had a chance. And now Kevin has 0 chance at the championship. It's one thing to say, perform well when it counts. All right, fair. But he should still have a shot at the championship. He has 0 chance at the championship. The 2007 Patriots had a 50% chance at winning that Super Bowl. In fact, they were the favorites in that Super Bowl. I believe everyone picked them to win it, right? And they didn't win it. It was just one of the biggest upsets in sports history. Kevin Harvick has not made it. He doesn't have the chance to get upset because he's already been upset. And I think some driver quotes say it all. Denny Hamlin was madder about the elimination than Kevin Harvick was. Denny Hamlin called out the format, saying things like Kevin deserved better, and in a 3-race season, this is what it's going to be like. And stuff like NASCAR wants their Game 7 moments all the time. This is what it comes down to. He said, all that matters is the 9th inning, but you can't ignore the first 8 innings of the game. He was just saying stuff about how bad the format is and how unfair it is. Kevin Harvick took it a step further. He didn't trash the format. Well, he kind of did, but it was kind of like he was undermining it a little bit. He didn't just go out and say, this is stupid, it sucks, it's horrible. What Kevin Harvick did was perfect. He said, the championships that are won now are nothing like what Petty and Earnhardt won. He then went on to say, I value race wins more than a championship. He said, with the season we've had, the race wins are all I care about. That's the one thing I'll remember. The championship would have been a bonus. The championship would have been a bonus. We have a driver that cares more about race victories than he does about the Cup Series championship. That is how illegitimate the championship is. Kevin Harvick knows this. He only cares about going out there and winning races, because if he doesn't have a shot to win the championship, that doesn't show how untalented or talented a race car driver is. What shows that is how many races that driver wins. And Kevin winning 9 races of the season shows his talent behind the wheel. He knows this. Why do you think he started to celebrate wins more than he ever has before? Kevin Harvick was never like this when he won races. He wins a race now and he is ecstatic every way to Friday. It's the happiest I've seen him after race victories in his whole career. He never got like that until the format was like this, and he realized how much of a farce it is, and how many times can one person get screwed out of a championship with a format like this. And this is coming from the same person who hates his move in 2015 at Talladega, and it probably ranks him as my least favorite driver in NASCAR because of that move, yet I am still defending him over this format because of how absolutely terrible it is that Kevin Harvick, an average finish in the single digits, doesn't have a shot at the championship at Phoenix. That is absurd and stupid. Luckily for the format's sake, it got 4 of the top 5 into the postseason. The one that shouldn't be there is Joey Logano. Granted, his season has been just as good as Brad's and Chase's in terms of points. He's right behind them. He's still 5th in points, though. Kevin Harvick should be in. So this will be another season the format gets wrong in terms of champions, because Kevin doesn't have a shot. We can already say the format is wrong for the 5th season that it has been alive. 5 of 7 seasons this format has been alive, it's been wrong. And we can say it already this season because the one who has scored the most points this season has not made it to the Final 4 in Phoenix, which is a sad reality. And that same driver values a race win more than a championship. And unfortunately for Harvick's sake, he can't go out and win Phoenix because NASCAR is not going to allow that. Imagine if Kevin goes out and wins Phoenix. NASCAR is not going to like that at all. I mean, I honestly think they allow the Championship 4 cars to get cheated up just a little bit. They allow them to cheat up just the same so that they win the race. I mean, it's just, go out there and have a Championship 4 driver win the race. Because if someone other than a Championship 4 driver won, wouldn't that just make it seem a little weird? Like, I know it's happened in the Trucks and Xfinity before, but in Cup, it has not happened yet. Wouldn't it just seem a little bit weird if the Championship 4, if the champion didn't win the race? I mean, it just seemed a little awkward, especially if it was Kevin Harvick, the best driver of the season. Just kind of be a little middle finger to NASCAR in the final race of the season. Screw you, I got my 10th win. Should be a part of this. I should be the champion right now, but I won this race and I'm more happy about that. The championship would have just been a bonus. That just shows how bad it is. So, good race marred by terrible playoff inconsistency. So Phoenix is the decider for the championship. I expect all 4 to run really, really well and very competitive with each other. I bet at some point during the race, all 4 will have the championship lead at some point during this race. I just don't see any one of the 4 being terrible. Denny was bad here earlier in the season. We'll see if he can recover and try and just, run up there with the 2 and the 22. I think they might be the favorites entering Phoenix, the 2 and the 22. Watch out for the 9 and the 11. They'll definitely have something to say about it. So that's it. My rant is over the playoff format. We'll see how Phoenix goes. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys for the next video.